My name is Eleni Papadonikolaki. I'm a lecturer or assistant professor in the Bartlett School of Construction and Project Management. It is here to stay. Yes, it is quite young at the moment, but we will see more and more applications in the near future. Typically, blockchain is here to reduce the intermediaries. So my assumption is essentially that every industry which is transaction heavy and very transaction based would be disrupted by blockchain technologies. For example, when we're talking about logistics or, for example, supply chains in construction, which are very much governed by many intermediaries, these all could change if we add a layer of blockchain in the transactions. In construction, we hope, because I come from construction, so that would be my first. My favorite, essentially. But as I said, transaction-heavy industries such as logistics, it could have to do with transportation, with energy, all these industries which are essentially very much based into small transactions, and they have many tiers and intermediaries could be disrupted because blockchain will give us the ability to have immutable and more accurate data and transactions. 5 years from now, I think it will be still a blockchain in these sectors, a young space where a lot of potential might have been demonstrated. A lot of startups have been starting building and prototyping some demos. I would expect that in 10 years' time, still we will have more and more application, but we won't be there yet with regards to mainstream application. I would assume that in 20 years from now, as you said, it would be much more mainstream because all the computational limitations might have been resolved. Mm-hmm. And so we would be talking about a seamless, essentially, blockchain layer in our transactions. There are many use cases. We hear a lot of things either from industry players or academia. I would like to say what we are doing at CBC, at Construction Blockchain Consortium. So we have 3 main use cases that we are investigating, and that would be spearheading the whole initiative. The first one is smart financing and procurement. The second has to do with policy and regulations, because we don't only need to develop technologies but also to regulate them and make sure that they can be integrated in the institutional environment. And the last one, my favorite, has to do with the distributed building information modeling and smart supply chains, because all these digital technologies in the built environment, they have a potential of being more and more integrated, and in the future we will be talking about more and more integrated digital technologies in the built environment, including IoT, for example. Apart from the 3 use cases that Construction Blockchain Consortium CBC is offering, essentially smart financing and procurement, policy regulations, and distributed BIM and smart supply chains, because all these 3, they are focusing more at the front end of projects and the design and construction, I would expect in the near future that we develop more use cases, especially at the operational phase, featuring essentially the integration with Internet of Things, IoT, and sensors, in order to track also the behavior of users, not only of the assets. Out of the 3 use cases of the Construction Blockchain Consortium, CBC, the most mature, I would say, it's the smart financing and procurement. And this is because we are basing a lot of technologies and lessons learned from the fintech industry, where there were already many applications. And we also have proper languages and proper structures to code smart contracts. So our easiest way to apply and develop blockchain solutions for construction would be through the fintech, through following the steps of the fintech industry and low tech. Challenges, limitations, I think they are of 2 kinds. Essentially, on one hand, we have cultural change, which is very hard, always hard to achieve when you're talking about innovations and changing technologies. At the same time, the industry is not very used to trusting stakeholders, people, but also technologies, data, and information. So this is the most cultural, if you like, limitation. Another set of limitation concerns to technical limitations. Essentially, we need to make transactions faster. We need to make blockchain transactions faster. It would be great, it would be as fast as Visa, for example, but we're not there yet. In the future, hopefully, when it becomes mainstream, like 20 years from now, as we discussed before, we would expect to see blockchain as an integrated layer, which would be seamless. So it wouldn't necessarily affect the way that we were doing things, but it would be underneath our main transactions, and these transactions would be more simple, with less checking points, essentially, and have the blockchain layer integrated. The main risk, what I'm mostly concerned about, is the sustainability component and the energy efficient component. We know that running blockchains is energy consuming as a task, so I would like hopefully to deal with some of these technical limitations in the near future and have all these things ready when we would be hopefully talking about mainstream adoption of blockchain technologies in construction. Blockchain in the built environment means that we will be closer to a stage where construction would be more digitized. It will have more digital applications to help us do our work in an efficient way, not being frustrated by intermediaries, by multiple transactions or by slow transactions, and inaccurate data or non-interoperable data. So hopefully that would mean that we will make construction an industry where people would be more happy with their job, and we will be able to deliver better products to the whole built environment.